Finding zeros. Basically, when we're looking to find zeros, you're really just looking for x-intercepts or where the graph crosses the x-axis. I'll let you kind of read through this, and you can always pause it if you need to, but something to keep in mind is probably 4 and 5. If a graph crosses the x-axis, you will have the possible multiple zeros in an odd amount. All that means is, let's say you have an x to the 5th function. X to the 5th probably looks something like that, correct? Well, what this means is that right here, because it crosses whatever that x or that 0 is, you could have that value repeat once, 3 times, 5 times, and that's really it, because we said it originally was a 5th power. And the same thing for part 5. If a graph touches the x-axis and bounces off, you will have possible multiple zeros in the even amount. For the most part, this really just applies to polynomials, but look at what your largest exponent is, and that's how many zeros you're going to have total anyway, whether they're real or imaginary. And we'll mess with this more later. Notice here we have a polynomial graph. We have a 0 here, a 0 here, and a 0 there. So if I was going to list out my zeros, I would have zeros at possibly 1, 2, well, negative 2. So x equals negative 2. I have one at negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9. And I know for sure, because this right here at x equals 3 bounces off, I know I'm going to have at least 2 at x equals 3. So without really knowing what the equation is, say at x equals negative 2, we could have one solution there, we could have 3 solutions there, we could have 5. It just depends on what the exponent power is. And the same thing with x equals 3. It could be 2 solutions, it could be 4, it could be 6, but this right here will never be an odd amount, and these two over here will never be an even amount of solutions. For the next one, we have f of x equals x squared minus 3x minus 10. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to set it equal to 0 and solve it. So x0 equals x squared minus 3x minus 10. When I factor this, I get x minus 5 and x plus 2. We set each one equal to 0. And then 0 equals x plus 2, and then solve. We get x equals 5 and x equals negative 2. And there's my two zeros.